Welcome to Vegas Dave's Dime.
Hello everybody, Vegas Dave here. Thank you for joining me for part 2 of my series, How to Handicap Horses. In this episode, I'll be going over the basics on what types of betting there are and what they mean. Make sure you've seen part 1 of the series before you watch this one. If you haven't seen it yet, click More from King's Rule 41 over on the right and make sure you are caught up. So I'll assume you've all seen that one and we'll get started. The most common and well-known bet in horse racing is the win bet, which is exactly what it sounds like. You are betting on the horse to win. This bet is only a winner if the horse you bet on wins. If it comes in second place or worse, you lose the money you bet here. That much is pretty obvious, but really understanding how the payout works is critical. To figure out what the win bet will pay, you have to check the odds, which look like this on a tote board and something like this on TV. Remember that these odds are always changing all the way up to post time, so you have to make sure you keep an eye on them. As we can see here, the 5 horse has a 6 next to him, so his odds are 6 to 1. So for a $2 bet, he will pay $14. 6 times 2 for a profit of $12 plus your original $2. And I'm always going to use $2 since it's the minimum bet and what the payouts are listed in, but keep in mind the math works the same no matter how much you bet on the horse. If you bet $5 to win, your ticket would pay $35. 6 times 5 for a $30 profit plus your initial $5 back. So these odds numbers are generally nice and round because they are rounded up or down to keep things simple. Because of this rounding, there might be a 20-cent difference here or there. But there are some cases, as you can see here, where they won't be a nice round number. Sometimes the numbers will be over 2 like this, and sometimes they'll be over 5 like this. Feel free to pause here if you want to study these charts. Lastly, on some super rare occasions, a horse will be such a heavy favorite it is 1 to 9. You will only win about 10 cents for every $2 you bet on these horses. So sorry for all the boring math, but it's very important to know. Now that we know what a win bet is and how it pays out, let's look at some other ways to bet on the races. If you bet on a horse to place, you are betting that the horse will come in second place or first place. This is a good bet if you find a horse that you like a lot and definitely put in your top 2, but you aren't too confident he'll be able to beat the other horse you're worried about. If you bet a horse to show, you are betting that the horse will come in first, second, or third place. This is a good bet for the faint at heart that don't want to lose if their horse doesn't win. Having second and third covered too gives you a little more insurance. There's no exact way to find out what place and show will pay before the race. As a general rule, the higher the odds are on a horse, or the higher the number, the more the place and show bets will pay. Place pays less than win, and show pays less than place, which makes sense because you get more security as you move down. As you see more and more results charts, you'll get a better idea of how these pay, so don't worry about it too much. Now you can also choose to bet these elements together by betting a horse to win, place, show, or across the board. $2 across the board will be a $6 ticket, $2 each on win, place, and show. This bet provides the opportunity for a big win if the horse wins, but also the chance to get some money back if the horse only shows. Now after win, place, show betting, things get a little more complicated. Bettors are offered what are called exotic wagers, bets that are much tougher to hit, but also come with much bigger payouts. The minimum bet on these is $1 instead of $2 at most tracks. An exacta is when you bet on which 2 horses will come in first and second place exactly. For example, if you think that the 4 horse will win and the 2 horse will come in second, you would bet the exacta 4 with 2. If the 4 comes in first and the 2 comes in second, you win. If any other combination comes in, even 2 in first and 4 in second, you lose. An exacta has to come in exactly as it's bet. A trifecta takes it a step further. You are now picking which horses will come in first, second, and third place exactly. As an example, if you bet 6 with 4 with 9, the 6 has to win, the 4 has to come in second, and the 9 has to come in third. Needless to say, this is a very difficult bet to win. A superfecta requires you to pick the top 4 horses in order of their finish. I'll keep this one simple. Stay away from these. We'll have enough trouble with the trifecta. There are some rare exceptions where these are worthwhile bets, and I'll go over those later, but don't get into the habit of betting these. The huge payouts are enticing, and a 10-cent variety is also available. You only have to pay 10 cents per combination to draw people in. But the superfecta will be a severe losing proposition to the beginner, and even the seasoned bettor. I'll show you the exceptions later, but until then, stay away from these. But moving back to the exacta and the trifecta, both give you the box option, which covers all combinations of the horses you like. For example, a 2-4 $1 exacta box costs $2, $1 for the 4 with 2, and $1 for the 2 with 4. It just saves you the trouble of having to make both bets separately. Similarly, a 4-6-9 $1 trifecta box costs $6 and covers all 6 combinations of the 3 numbers. Remember that these bets are parimutuel too, so exactas and trifectas with easy horses that everyone likes and bets won't pay well, but ones with long shot horses can pay very well. Now there are many more betting types than this, but we'll get into those as well as betting strategies later. The main focus of this episode was just making sure you knew the basics. Now revisiting the race we looked at the odds for earlier, here are the results to that race. So the one horse won, and you can see why he got paid $16. He was going off at 7-1, which once again is 7 times 2 for a $14 profit, plus 2 your initial $2 back. And there's your $16. And here's what he paid to place, and here's what he paid to show. Now the 6 horse came in second place, and you can see here what he paid to place, and here what he paid to show. And lastly, here is the 7 horse who paid $3.60 to show. Since the 1 horse who won was going off at 7-1 and wasn't among the more popular horses bet, you can see the people that did have him got paid pretty well on the exotic bets. There isn't any way to tell what the trifecta would have paid before the race, but as you can see here, on both TV and the tote board, there's usually a screen dedicated to what exactas will pay, or at least a good estimate. And as we see here, 1 and 6 was projected to pay about $122, and it ended up paying $128. So it's relatively close, and it gave you an idea, if you liked the 1, what it would pay in an exacta with the 6. So once again, this wasn't a particularly fun episode, a lot of math and a lot of review for a lot of you, I'm sure. But before we got into actually handicapping, I had to make sure you knew how betting worked. Both how you're going to be placing bets and also how things are working behind the scenes. Now that you know these things, we're ready to move on to the fun stuff, how to pick winners. And next time we'll get started on that. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Next time we'll be going over Bayer speeds, one of the most important aspects to handicapping the races.